Namaste, Mirnam, Professor Hey, Absi Milker, Hushiwe, how are you? Let's move this mic over so I can block the light. I need the light, but not for you to be blinded by the light. This ain't working. I need to position better. How's that? Better, okay. Um, I think this channel is completely different than all the other channels. Just the camera, so I can look right into your beautiful eyes, India. I think we are completely different, and I'm going to go through a few things, and I'm not saying this to put down other channels. I'm not. I'm just using this to compare and contrast what we are here versus what other people are. Cynthia's reaction is one of my favorites. I think Cynthia, when she brings her kids out, is so adorable. The little kids in there, and she's kind of veered off into American television, Walking Dead. I think the Game of Thrones, and there's nothing wrong with that. She does a lot of live streaming on that. But her roots were in Indian films, and she's got away from it for whatever reason. I think if you look at somebody really big, I think probably the biggest person in this genre that's American-based, foreign-based, is Jabby Coy, and Jabby is pretty much just a straight movie trailer reaction guy. He's apolitical. He doesn't get involved in anything. He doesn't, and I'm not saying that as a negative. It's just what he does. And there's obviously a market for it because he has a huge channel and a huge growth on it. Sergeant Rocco kind of dabbles in a lot of stuff, but he seems to be going by video game things more. Who else could you throw in there? Bollyfools. I think Bollyfools killed themselves, quite honestly. I think they got so enamored to your neighbors to the west that they began to sympathize with them and lose touch with the reality of the situation, and it's a tragic. I think the Bollyfools are kind of like a Shakespearean tragedy, a Greek tragedy that is played out before us. And we are a little different. I like what Arjit said. We react to all things India. And I'm probably going to have to tap that down a little bit because there are people getting real aggressive trying to kick us off with copyright strikes. We're going to have to be a little more careful. But we watch the films. We make an effort to understand the culture, to understand the religion, understand the politics. I share my opinions on all that. Sometimes you guys love it, sometimes you hate it. But I think I've probably, out of the foreigners, have watched the most Indian films. I've watched the most Bollywood films. And I feel pretty comfortable about that. I think that, my enunciation and pronunciation of the names is terrible. But when we get into talking nuts and bolts, I've seen a lot of films. And I think out of the foreigners, there is nobody else who has seen as many films as I have, or can discuss it intelligently to the length that I can go to discuss this. My Indian friends always crack up here in the States. I have a family that I'm friends with. The husband is from Vizag. The wife is from Hyderabad, and occasionally we'll be around a third Indian family. And when they decide they want to talk India with me, this first couple always laughs like, "Uh-oh, here it comes," and they get a kick out of it, and I take pride in that. So I think that as a foreigner, I'm uniquely qualified to say this: the golden era of Bollywood. Now, and again, listen to my analysis and go compare it to the other people. What you're going to find is they're lacking. And I don't mean that as an insult to them. I'm not trying to put them down. It's just the truth. I really enjoy this genre. I really love the movies. I love the people. I want to move to India. I would love that. I find it enchanting. So here's what I'm going to say. The golden era of Bollywood is from 1950, I'm going to say, to 1975. That is the golden era. And we've seen so many superstars in that era. This is, I think, the foundation of your modern day Bollywood. You know, if you were to look at the Indian film industry and you were to work your way backwards from the current hits and stars all the way back, you would hit this golden era, 1950 to 1975. And you may be saying, Professor, why would you say 1950? Not 1947, not 1935, whatever. I think the films were different. And again, it's because I've watched a lot of these films. And this is my observation, and this is my analysis, and this is my commentary, and this is why, when it comes to Indian films of foreigners, I think I'm the greatest movie commentator of Indian films. Here's why. Here is my proof. 1950. So India gets its independence in 1947. We all know that. We all know that, right? 1950 is when the Constitution hits. Out of that comes a whole genre of movies, of Hindustani films, that are going to celebrate the independence of India. They're going to bring forth ideas. They're going to capture songs that were used by the INA, the IRN. They're going to do all kinds of different things. There's going to be tributes to Bose. There's going to be this celebration of song and dance. And we are going to get films that are going to document, that are going to comment on the shifting of a colonized India to a free India, and we're going to see tales and stories of this progress that has happened. We're going to get movies. I mean, you look at the movies that have come out and the stars that have happened there. The songs were different. The songs, the movies, the stars reflected the culture. This was a proud, proud moment in India. And it's a shame because I think it's becoming forgotten by the current cast of stars and songs. The songs tied into the culture of India. They tied into the religion, the Hinduism of India. It tied into the joy of being free with a constitution. And out of this genre, out of this period, are really the giants of Bollywood films. Giants. And I think I'm going to do a series of videos talking about some of these people. I mean, the Kapoor dynasty is in there with Raj. Nargis, one of the best actresses ever. And it's so tragic when you go through Geeta. I mean, Geeta could sing, dude. Geeta, she could sing. You see some of these, there was a little guy named Amitabh Bachchan that came out of this genre. Maybe you've heard of him. I mean, this is a period, I think, of immortal films. Matter of fact, you can go and watch a show called Mortal Men, Immortal Music. Maybe you've heard of it. And it has to do with this genre. It has to do with this time period. And I think we as cinema fans have to understand this. We have to pay homage to it. We have to show our respect. We, as movie critiquers, reaction video commentators, whatever you want to do, we have to go to this golden age of cinema, and we have to put our hands together, bow down, and touch the feet of the greatness that was there. We have to acknowledge it. We have to be knowledgeable of it. We have to respect it. And if we're not going to do that, then we're selling Hindustan short on everything. Then this is just about dollars, just about views, just about self-promotion. And this concerns me. This concerns me because we have to hold this up. It is this beautiful era of films that everything else builds off of, right? Everything else builds off of it. And if you don't understand the past, you're not going to understand the future, right? The past, it needs to be respected, right? It needs to be respected, just like your elders need to be respected. And it is important, I think, that especially for the foreign film critics, reviewers, commentators, to watch the films, right? Make an effort to understand what is going on in the films, right? Understand that. Pay attention to the music. The music is going to tell you a story of India. And when you look at the music from 1950 to 1975, it is the soundtrack to the Indian soul. That's what it is. That's what it is. Now, it's changed as we've gotten more modern. It's become more aggressive, more sexualized, more, progressive, if you want to say. But that's fine, and I'm not tearing that down, but we have to hold homage to this. This is the immortal time of Indian films. So many great films. So many great films, right? And it makes me sad that people don't have a working knowledge of it. It makes me sad to understand that. Understand the history. I shouldn't be the most informed dude on 1950 India cinema when I hang out with folks. I shouldn't be. I should be listening and paying attention. Now, I think Jabby does a good job of watching the films and telling you about his opinion of it. I do. I think that's good to see, and I think you guys deserve us to know the subject matter, right? I mean, people will say you're just doing this for views. Well, I'm going to say something that's kind of shocking. Duh. Like why would you go on YouTube and not, why would they make Sholay and say, I don't want anybody to see this? No, of course not, dude. Of course I'm doing this for views. I'm doing this for views. I'm doing this to hang out with you guys. I'm doing this to learn. I'm doing this because I enjoy it. And so when you see people say, like, you're just doing this for view, what the hell is this? It's YouTube. It's not Silent Tube. It's not No Tube. If I wasn't doing this for views, I wouldn't be on here. I'd be just I'd be in this bedroom right over there. You see that little bedroom over there with the dark? I'd be sitting in the dark just talking like this to nobody. Yeah, and I'd be like, yeah, that was a really good episode that nobody's going to see. What are you guys doing? You trolls. There are trolls on my page trolling me. Anyways, I digress. I find it funny. So the golden era of Bollywood. What I would like to know from you guys is this, right? How many are familiar with the golden age of Bollywood? And I'm going to say 1950 to 1975. If you're not sure, ask your parents. Right? Ask your parents. And then what I want to know is what are your favorite films from there? I mean, it's pretty hard to beat Mother India. I mean, it's really hard to beat that. Really hard. I mean, there are some close ones, but it's really hard. I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna go find some footage from the old films, and we're gonna talk about some of these people because there are some actresses that just sing, that are beautiful, that are just like superstars, right? You can just see it. And one of the things that I noticed, and I was pointing this out to the Warrior Queen, we were watching old Indian stuff like from the Golden Era. I said, do you notice the women look the same? Like is it the traditional dress? Because you But you can take Kareena Kapoor Khan, you can take, Vidya, you can take all these Deepiku and put them in traditional dress, and it looks all the same. It's not like, whoa, that's from the 1960s. What the hell is that? Like, you can, in America, you find these fads changing, and I think this is a beautiful thing about the Indian films, the heritage. We cannot lose the heritage. We need to protect the heritage. We need to protect the culture, right? We need to protect it. There needs to be, a centurions around the culture to protect it, so it's not lost to anybody, because it's a beautiful culture. It is truly a beautiful, beautiful culture. Well, that's my rant on the golden era of Bollywood. I'll catch you guys later.